Cricket et al. It's a website. It's a podcast.
Pete, it's a way of life. It's Gideon Haig over here.
And it's Peter Lawler over here, live and exclusive from Galle.
For the Warne-Muralidaran Trophy, I'll help you out there, Pete, which has now been concluded 2-0 in Australia's favour, so they retain the trophy. They won by 9 wickets today, chasing 75 successfully. Marnus Labuschagne was there at the end with 26, I think, and Usman was there with 27. Tidy 26
That's
for us
exactly
for Marnus just when he needed, and Australia's supremacy was secured. And it's hot where you are, Pete. I can tell just how hot you are.
Yeah, I don't know how they play cricket in these conditions, Gideon. I'm actually a bit concerned that my laptop here is going to blow up. I'm in direct sunlight up on the top of the pavilion. Yeah, and it's warm. It's very warm. But there's a bit of a sea breeze blowing, and it was a short, sharp, and sweet session. We probably didn't. Did we just do 2 hours? I think.
Yeah,
just before midday. Yeah, Australia got the last 2 wickets that they needed. Koeman finished that innings with 4. Nathan Lyon with 4. Then they lost Travis Head on the way. You mentioned Marnus Labuschagne. Yes, he will be happy to survive that innings. I mean, we don't know what the selectors are thinking about him and where he's at in cricket, but it would have been a further mark against his name had he been dismissed. So a nice little 26 not out for Marnus, can wipe the sweat from his brow with that one.
Yeah, look, it was one of those innings where, it was he was on a hide into nothing, wasn't he? There was time to fail, but there wasn't sufficient time to really succeed. So he did well to come out the other side. And Usman looked as Usman has all summer, unhurried, unflustered, completely composed. The Sri Lankan spinners, once again, not quite consistent enough. There were Pires bowled those 3 beautiful balls that beat Head in his second over, and then he bowls a half tracker. And then Mendes bowls a full toss and a half volley, and so it's funny, isn't it? We identify Sri Lanka with top class spin bowling, but they really haven't replaced Rangana Herath, and that's 7 years ago now. That those who've come since haven't stayed for long enough to make an impression, and in their own spin friendly conditions, you really needed the kind of accuracy that that Nathan Lyon and Matthew Kuhnemann sustained.
Yeah, and isn't that I mean, we've come to expect that from Nathan Lyon. He's an absolute champion. Did he pick up his 550th wicket yesterday?
That was yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We've come to expect that from Nathan, and he did as expected. But really, Matthew Kuhnemann, we'll just pause and reflect on what he's done here. That's an outstanding for a start, just to even get him here with the broken thumb. And, he had to move states because he couldn't get a game. He's finished the highest wicket taker in the series. He bowled 555 deliveries. He took 16 wickets at an average of 17.8. And look, his Sri Lankan opposite number bowled more deliveries and picked up 9 at an average of 40. Fantastic effort from a relatively inexperienced, at this level especially, an inexperienced bowler. And Nathan Lyon sang his praises last night, as Nathan Lyon is want to do. He said he's exceptional, and he deserves all the praise he's going to get. He's been the best bowler. He's pushed through the pain with that thumb and done his country proud, and that was probably what Australia has lacked on these series in the past, is an effective sort of bowler to turn the ball the other way. Sock hinted at that once in 2016, but broke down. But Matthew Kuhnemann's here, and well done the selectors for bringing him along. It wasn't always in a lot of people's mind he wasn't a certainty to be on this tour, especially once he did the thumb. But he got here.
They've always wanted a left armour, haven't they, in Asian conditions? And he probably is the best around. He's a bit unlucky because he might not play in Australia's next Test match, mightn't he? And I wonder if people will be as fussed about Matthew Kuhnemann being dropped as they are about Sam Costas being dropped. It's equivalent because horses for courses, and And I think the left-arm spinner does present a particular predicament on these wickets. It's not all about his faculty, though, as you say. Jayasuriya, vastly experienced in these conditions, was comfortably out-bowled.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And, look, I wouldn't blink if Kuhnemann doesn't play the next test because it just doesn't fit, does he? I mean, you can't. Australia aren't going to play two spinners in the World Test Championship. Would they do it in the West Indies, do you think, Gideon?
They might, and they might do it in Pakistan next time they go back. So he'll play a lot. He'll play a lot of away tests, Matthew Kuhnemann. Probably not so many at home.
Yeah. I think that's exactly right. I mean, I didn't even hear the presentation ceremony. I was so busy running around. But I'm assuming that Steve Smith was the man of the series. Was he player of the series?
All I heard was a chorus of "We Are the Champions."
Oh, right. Okay.
Interesting. Yeah. It speaks all languages, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. But, it would be a travesty if Steve Smith was not given that crown. He's just been so good on this series. And I've said it, you're probably tired of hearing me say it, but I've loved the way he has led this side. I've loved his fields. I've loved his use of the bowlers. And then we've got his batting. Those 2 centuries were outstanding. Again, I mean, I don't think there's any argument now that he's the finest batter of his generation and probably one of the best to ever play the game.
And he was caught down the leg side in Adelaide, and the dogs were barking for him. And since then, he's made 740 runs at 82. If you roll in his innings in the BBL, and in a great variety of conditions, he's looked a very, very complete player. As well as relishing the captaincy, as well as being an outstanding fielder, because he's taken his 200th Test catch today. Kusal Mendes caught round the corner, and then he immediately brought Beau Webster on to get Kamara. So everything he's touching is turning to gold at the moment.
Yeah, hey, and like Kuhnemann, he might be a specialist away captain for conditions like this. I mean, you don't need Pat Cummins over here, really. With all due respect to Pat Cummins, you're better off having Mitchell Starc making those footmarks and things like that he does. And Smith is an excellent tactician in spinning conditions, so just as he's an excellent batter in spinning conditions. It's been a good series for Usman. I mean, it's one innings does not, well, in this case, one innings does a series, mate, because it was such a significant innings, 232 in that first test. And look, we were all wringing our hands a little bit about him in the summer. I mean, he was made to look a little bit slow and fragile against Jasprit Bumrah, but then again, any opener would be made to look like that against Jasprit Bumrah. But he is great in these conditions. He's such a calm batter, as you say. He conserves his energy. He plays in the 360. Go and have a look at Thomas Miles' fantastic wagon wheel of that innings, and it'll just show you what an effective batsman this veteran Australian is.
It was extraordinary over summer, wasn't it, that Bumrah could have achieved such supremacy over a single player. It was almost like, I don't know, Alec Bedser against Arthur Morris or McGrath against Atherton. His Khawaja's average against Bumrah this summer was 5, and his average against everyone else was 50. I'm not sure I can think of an equivalent in my lifetime.
No.
What else can we say about Australia, Pete? I think one thing to say about Australia is that they couldn't have had conditions more different than they had during the Australian summer. So that's an illustration of their versatility. Even the two pitches were quite different. Part of Australia's supremacy in the first test was the win at the toss, but here they lost the toss. They probably yielded the best batting conditions of the game to Sri Lanka, and they still bossed it. So that's a very, very authoritative performance.
Yeah, I agree. Look, we could name check a few others. Let's acknowledge Alex Carey's tour. I mean, we talked about it last night, but that 156 in the first innings here. He's 46 not out in the first test. He's 4 stumpings. Great player. Big Beau Webster continued to impress. I wrote about him last night for Cricket et al.
I'm loving his off spin, Pete. I know it used to be his specialty. Does he remind you of Tony Greig? He reminds me of him bowling his office, and of course, Greggy also bowled the seam up stuff. I know that reference dates us both, but that's what he looks like.
He does. Hang on. I reckon I've got an opportunity here to find a more comfortable position. This is Cricket SR recorded on the go. Now, I shouldn't be in here. I think I've been warned off this part of the world. But anyway, we'll do it.
It's on safari with Pete.
Hey? Yeah, on safari with Pete. Yeah, I can't tell you where I am because I'm not allowed to be.
An undisclosed location. Okay.
Okay. I'll take this silly hat off now. All right.
What do we say about Sri Lanka, Pete?
Disappointing. Very
disappointing.
You raised the topic. The fact that they haven't been able to bowl well in their own conditions. People have asked why there were 2 tests played in Sri Lanka. The local journalist told me it's because why did I say 2 tests in Sri Lanka? Sorry. 2 tests in Galle. Slow down, Peter.
Unmitigated gall, as it were.
Yes. Well, the reason was because that's here. They figured they had the best opportunity of beating Australia. The other element of it was that it saves a lot of money for broadcasters.
Yeah. They don't have a pot to piss in, do they? Sri Lanka at the moment.
No, and so if the broadcasters can save money, I don't think anyone's complaining that they were held here. Certainly not the couple of thousand Australians who showed up across the 2 test matches. They've had a great time, Australian fans. Really, and that's been wonderful. Been a bit of a shame that the locals aren't here, and I don't think that's a lack of interest. I think that has to do with the ticket prices generally. Then again, it's a hard, if you are a local, it is a big ask to watch test match cricket in this heat, and the conditions here would make Como Park look like a 5-star international cricket stadium. They make the Wacker look like the best in the world. It is hard on the spectators. It's hot. You're in a beautiful location, and it's great. And it's great for the drone shots and things like that. And it's great when you finish play and want to go to the fort or want to go to the beach, or even run across to the pub at the bus stand. There's a lot of the Aussies do at lunchtime and never return from. Australia's really good South Asian pubs, a real genuine dive bar. I've only put my head in there. I haven't had a beer in there, and I probably never will. But I tips my lid to the people who have been drinking there.
I guess the other thing that I would say about Sri Lanka is that they're coming to the end of a period, aren't they? With Karunaratne retiring, Angelo Matthews is 37, Chandimal's 35, Dhananjaya and Jayasuriya they're 33. I think Dhananjaya is a desperately poor captain, by the way, but there's the next generation isn't really coming through. They've made no impression on this series. And like I said, spin bowling, which is something that you associate with the best Sri Lankan teams, just fell well short of expectations. So they've got a lot of work to do. Farewell to Karunaratne today. He got the last over, didn't he? He's got the Arthur Morris over at the Oval in 1953, got the chance to have a trundle, and didn't last the over. That was a little bit symbolic. He's been a very good player, though. I think we should pay tribute to him. Been very resilient over a lot of years. It's tough being at the top of the order, but he's been a durable performer, and he was a good captain. Probably a better captain than the incumbent.
And he'll be on the plane with the Australian tourists heading back to my hometown, Gideon, because he's going to live in Melbourne, finish his level 2 coaching course, and play the district cricket down there in Melbourne. Join the vast Sri Lankan community that makes Melbourne such a good place to live.
It's where a lot of them end up. Sanka Gurusina and Ravi Ratnayaka set the trend along. Oh, actually, Dav Watmore in some ways set the trend, didn't he? Because that close association with the Sri Lankans. I think Roshan Mahanamar ended up out here. And Rangana Harath, he can be reunited with his old mucker.
And my mate Russell Arnold's up with me in Sydney. Which is a great spot too. We've got a nice little Sri Lankan community going on up there. Let's meet at the Tondo Social Club on Emerald Road. I was a bit, you look at a side and think they're just not right. Sometimes you look at it in the field and you can see them in the field, but also with the batting, I think, Dhananjaya has certainly played some atrocious shots. She seems to Kusal Mendes hole out today when he got that for 50. And so time and again, you looked at their senior players, even Chandimal, and we're in that second innings. That, it's a lack of application. I got the feeling that they weren't genuinely committed to it. I could be wrong. Maybe they just weren't up to it. But it was a lackluster effort by Sri Lanka. A little bit disappointing, I've got to say.
I got the feeling that they thought the wicket would deteriorate more quickly than it did. Like some of the shots were guys who were thinking, oh, well, there's one with my name on it out here. I might as well make hay while the sun shines. And actually, Australia proved in both innings, I think, that it was possible to not only survive, but to be quite busy on this surface. They didn't give any thought to turning the strike over or trying to pace themselves. I think Australia was showing the benefits of having done a tough training camp before coming into this series. Now they've survived the heat brilliantly. They've survived the heat.
I think you know what? It's not so much. I think that was about. Well, there is an element of adapting to the heat, but more so adapting to these kind of decks. Because you go over to the what is it, the Cricket Academy, Dubai, whatever it's called, and they have tailor-made decks. So they have something that resembles this. So. And that's clearly paid off. But hey, Kuhnemann didn't even get there. But clearly the batters did, and they practiced there. The ones who reverse swept, and the ones who swept, and the ones who played like Steve Smith played like Steve Smith. This is a great thing about. I want to go back to Smith. The fact that he batted so well in this series without really having to sweep, without owning a sweep, that's really significant. It's a classic, it's the classical style, which I think a lot of people have moved away from, and with good reason. But well done, Stephen.
Not a word I associate commonly with Steve Smith, the classical style.
No, that's why I pulled myself up and started to doubt myself as the words came out of my mouth. What are you saying, Ralph?
You're making me feel nostalgic. Anyway, he's been great to watch, and the pallor of the Australians. I was looking at them up on the balcony before. They got the pallor of liver in the window of a butcher shop. That
I know.
But they looked happy. They looked contented, and they've got a day off. And I think now they commence their Champions Trophy camp, don't they?
Yeah, straight into it. They're going up to Colombo to play a couple of one-dayers. I'll go up with them, but I'm not hanging around for that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, all eyes on the Champions Trophy now. Is this a good spot for a break, Gideon? Because I've just got to do something really quickly.
Excellent spot. Do it. And we're back on Cricket et al. With exciting news in the merch department. Pete, would you like to explain the offer that will shortly be forthcoming to Cricket et al. Subscribers?
Well, if we get our act together, and it's at the suggestion of many of our subscribers who are so excited. As excited by us, by Thomas Miles' spectacular work scoring in this second test. Everybody was rather taken by the Usman Khawaja wagon wheel for his big double 100. And he wanted it on a T-shirt, and we reckon it should be worn. So we've got our best people working in a sort of shop somewhere, sewing it. We're going to hand embroider the Usman Khawaja wagon wheel. How many did you make? 232, was it?
232, yep.
Yeah, so hand embroidered by Gideon and his mother. Exclusive to Cricket et al. Subscribers. No, I'm being silly.
It may take a while. We work slowly.
But we are going to get T-shirts printed with that on the front. We think it's going to look fantastic.
Yeah.
Be a change from the other two T-shirts. I can't find my Cricket et al. T-shirts anymore, Gideon. I don't know where they've gone.
Oh, no. Ask the tuk-tuk driver.
Anyway, so, yes, we've got that in the pipeline, which I'm really looking forward to doing. And stand by. I'm a bit distracted here. All the Aussie fans have wandered out to the middle in their a lot of Lukey Sparrows mob in their colourful shirts, all inspecting the wicket and wandering around the Galle International Stadium. Oh, and
Trying to find a blade of grass.
Now they're being escorted off by security. Okay, bit late, fellas. They were all out around the middle, and as you should be. I loved that. You loved it too during the Australian summer when they would let the fans on the field at the end of a Test match. It's a special thing to walk on onto a playing arena after a Test match. But I'm looking forward to getting home, Gideon, but I do have one day up my sleeve. Yeah.
Okay. All right. What are you going to do?
Well, I don't know if you know this, Gideon, but I'm a creature of habits. So I'm going to go down to Lucky Tuna and Una Ratuna, spend my day there. I was there last night and I had a rather frightening incident. I was sitting by myself, doing the New York Times word puzzle, which is my kind of meditation after a long day, when I felt this arm reach around from behind and get me in a chokehold and whisper a threat in my ear. And I thought, dear God. And then I heard a chuckle and turned around and it was Simon Kadich. I thought,
you don't want to get in that chokehold.
No, there's been a few in that chokehold before. And I said, God, mate, I thought you were going to break my neck. And he said, that was just a gentle one, Pete.
That's how he shows affection.
That was an affectionate chokehold. But anyway, that's why my voice is a bit gravelly today. At that time, Ponting grabbed me on the arm and that bruised my arm. Please, I'm a delicate creature, fellas. Hard like you lot. I was going to post a lot of, I might do it tomorrow, some photographs from the tour. Simon features among many of them. It's been such fun over here, and thanks to all the subscribers who enabled me to be here and report back for you. I hope you've got your money's worth. I've certainly enjoyed being here, and certainly enjoyed talking to you at the end of play. But I've missed you, Gideon. It's not the same being on tour without you.
I know you're a creature of habit. And you need to have me around. That's okay. We'll get back together. I think you're coming down to, your wife tells me you're coming down to Melbourne at the end of the month.
Oh, am I? Yeah.
You are.
My niece's wedding. Yeah.
Yep.
Also, I want a call out to Judy Anderson. It's a wonderful woman, a cricket person who lives in Sydney. She's having a bit of a bad time at the moment. So our thoughts are with you, Judy, if you listen to the pod, and I hope you do. I look forward to coming to visit you when I get back there.
I reckon that's all we've got time for on Cricket et al. This evening, Pete.
One more thing, a call out to Pat Cummins too, who who presented his baby Edie to the world. Yesterday she was born last week. They're a very happy family. He's a great He's a family man, Pat, who struggles with being away from the team and had to do that when his first child was born, but he was determined that he be there for the birth for this time with his second child. He was also injured. He does have an ankle injury, but it was good for him to have that. It was great to see him and Becky and the new addition to their family. So.
Okay. Well, that's all we've got time for, Pete, on Cricket et al. This evening. It's been great to have you with us. Thank you very much for joining our coverage of the Sri Lankan tour. Until World Test Championship time or some time before, it's goodbye from me.
And it's good night. Him.